In a world where every sound could be your last, silence is the only way to stay alive. It was a normal day when it all started. The year was 2024, and the world changed fast. Strange creatures came from nowhere. No one knew where they came from. Some said they were from space, others said they were made in a lab that went wrong. But it did not matter. What mattered was that they could not see. They had no eyes, but their ears were sharp. They hunted by sound, any noise, even a small one like a cough or a step on a leaf, and they would come running, fast and deadly. The creatures looked like big dogs but with long arms and sharp claws. Their skin was gray and rough. They moved on all fours, sniffing the air. But it was sound that drew them. Cities fell first because of all the noise, cars, people talking, music, everything called the creatures. Billions died in weeks. The ones who lived learned quick, be quiet or die in a small town in the middle of nowhere. There was a family. The dad was named Tom. He was strong and smart. He used to be a farmer. The mom was Anna. She was kind but tough. They had 2 kids, a boy named Jack, who was 12, and a girl named Lily, who was 8. They also had a baby on the way. Anna was pregnant. Before the creatures came, they lived a simple life on their farm. Now, they had to change everything. They walked barefoot to make no sound. They talked with their hands, using sign language that Tom taught them from a book. They ate soft food that did not crunch, no talking, no laughing out loud, even crying. Had to be silent. One day, early on, they saw what happens if you make noise. Their neighbor, old Mr. Smith, dropped a tool while fixing his fence. The clang echoed. In seconds, a creature burst from the woods. It tore him apart. The family watched from their window, hearts pounding. From then on, they knew silence was life. They made their home safe. They covered paths with sand to muffle steps. They used traps with no bells. Tom built a basement room with thick walls for when things got bad. But with the baby coming, they worried. Babies cry. How could they keep a baby quiet? Days turned. 2 months. The world outside was empty. No birds sang because the creatures killed anything that made noise. The family worked the farm in quiet. Jack helped with the crops. Lily played with dolls but never spoke. Anna's belly grew bigger. Tom signed to her, "We will be okay." But deep down, he was scared. That was how they lived, day by day, in silence. The sun rose slow over the farm, painting the fields gold. The family woke early. As always, no alarms, just the light creeping through the windows. Tom was first up, checking the traps around the house. He moved like a ghost, barefoot on the sand. Pots they had laid to hush their steps. The traps were empty, which was good. No creatures nearby, but also bad no food caught. Anna was in the kitchen, if you could call it that now. No pots clanging, no water boiling. They ate cold meals, soft bread they baked in a covered oven, mashed vegetables, and dried fruit. Anything that crunch was forbidden. Jack and Lily sat at the table, eating slow, chewing quiet. Anna's belly was bigger now, heavy with the baby she signed to the kids. Finish fast, work to do. Her hands moved sharp but gentle. Jack's job was weeding the garden. He used his hands, pulling plants slow so the roots didn't snap. A snap was too loud. Lily helped by carrying water in soft cloth bags that didn't slosh. They worked for hours, never speaking. The world was so quiet you could hear the wind in the grass. But even that made Tom nervous. Wind could hide other sounds like the creatures. No one knew much about them. Tom had seen one up close once when he went to town early on. Its head was long, with holes where eyes should be. Its mouth was wide, full of sharp teeth, and its ears twitched at the smallest sound, like a bat. But worse, they didn't seem to sleep. They just hunted, always listening. That afternoon, the family took a break. They sat in the living room, a room with no chairs that squeaked. They played a game with cards, laying them down soft on a blanket. Lily smiled, signing to Jack. "You're losing." Jack rolled his eyes but kept quiet. Anna watched them, her hand on her belly. The baby kicked. She winced but didn't make a sound. Then it happened. Jack reached for a cart and knocked over a small wooden figure on the table. It was a tiny horse, carved by their grandpas ago. It hit the floor with a soft thud. Everyone froze. Tom's eyes went wide. He held up a hand, signing, "Stop, listen." The family held their breath. Outside, the wind had stopped. The silence was heavy, like a weight on their chests. Anna grabbed Lily's hand. Jack's face was pale. They waited, ears straining. Was that a rustle in the trees? A claw on dirt? Nothing came. After what felt like forever, Tom signed, "Okay, be careful." He picked up the horse, slow, and set it back. Jack signed, "Sorry." His hands shook. They went back to their game, but the mood was different. Every move was slower, every glance sharper. Anna felt the baby kick again. She looked at Tom, her eyes asking a question she couldn't sign. "How will we keep a baby quiet?" Tom had no answer. He just squeezed her hand. Night came. They slept in the basement, on soft mats, with blankets to muffle any snores. The house above was locked tight, doors padded with cloth. But sleep was hard. Every creak of the old house made them jump. Jack lay awake, thinking about the horse. One mistake. That's all it took. Asterisk, the days grew shorter as fall came. The air was cool, and leaves fell silently onto the sand paths. Anna's pregnancy was almost at its end. The baby could come any day now. The family worked harder than ever, but always in silence. Every move was planned, every step soft. They couldn't afford a single mistake. Tom spent hours in the basement, building something new. It was a box, big enough for a baby to lie in, made from old wood and thick blankets. He lined it with foam from an old mattress, gluing it down with sap from trees. The idea was simple, a soundproof place for the baby. If it cried, the sound might not get out. Tom wasn't sure it would work, but it was all they had. He worked slow, hammering nails gently with a cloth over the hammer to dull the sound. Each tap made his heart race. Anna helped as much as she could. She sewed soft cloths for diapers, using old shirts. They couldn't use plastic ones too crinkly. She signed to Tom, "Will the box be ready?" Tom nodded, but his eyes were tired. He hadn't slept well in weeks. None of them had. Jack and Lily had their own jobs. Jack checked the farm's edges for signs of creatures. He looked for claw marks or broken branches. Once, he found a patch of gray fur caught on a fence. It smelled like rot. The creatures were close, always close. They never stopped hunting. Their ears could hear a whisper from a mile away or so. It seemed. Jack buried the fur under dirt, his hands shaking. Lily's job was to source supplies. They had a small stash of food in the basement, jars of mashed apples, dry beans soaked soft, and water in cloth bags. She counted everything twice, signing the numbers to Anna. Enough for a month. She signed one day. Anna smiled, but her eyes were worried. A baby needed more than they had. One morning, Tom decided they needed medicine. If Anna or the baby got sick, they had nothing. The nearest town was a mile away, a place called Hartsfield. It used to be busy, with a pharmacy and a grocery store. Now it was a ghost town. Tom had gone there once before, right after the creatures came. He'd seen bodies in the streets, torn apart. He didn't want to go back, but they had no choice. He planned the trip carefully. He'd go alone at dawn, when the creatures seemed less active. No one knew why. Maybe they rested then, if they rested at all. Tom wore soft clothes, no zippers or buttons that could clink. He carried a cloth bag and a stick to check for traps. He signed to Anna, "I'll be back by noon." She grabbed his hand, her eyes saying, "Be careful." The walk to Hartsfield was slow. Tom stepped on sand paths he'd made months ago, avoiding sticks and stones. The town was quiet. Too quiet. Broken windows stared like empty eyes. He reached the pharmacy, its door hanging open. Inside, shelves were tipped over, but he found a few bottles of painkillers and some bandages. He stuffed them in his bag, moving like a shadow. Then he heard a low growl, like air hissing through teeth. A creature was near. Tom dropped to the floor, behind the counter. His heart pounded so loud, he thought it might hear. The creature moved outside, claws scraping pavement. It stopped, sniffing. Tom held his breath until his lungs burned. After a long minute, it moved on. He waited, then crept back home, silent as death. When he got back, Anna hugged him tight, no words, just her arms around him. The family sat in the basement that night, the medicine bottles on the table. The box for the baby was almost done, but Anna's face was pale. She sighed. "I felt a pain today. The baby's close." Tom nodded, his throat tight. They were running out of time. The baby came on a cold morning. Anna woke up with sharp pains. She signed to Tom. "It's time." Her face was tight, sweat on her forehead. Tom grabbed the soundproof box from the basement and set it up in their bedroom. It was crude, made of wood and foam, but it was all they had. The blankets inside were soft, ready for the baby. Jack and Lily waited downstairs, sitting on the floor, eyes wide. They knew what was at stake. Anna lay on a pile of blankets, biting a cloth tube. "Stay quiet." Tom stayed by her side, holding her hand. They couldn't talk, couldn't make a sound. Every push, every breath was silent. Anna's face turned red, her eyes squeezed shut. Tom sighed, "You're doing great." But his hands shook. He'd read a book on childbirth, but that was all he had. No doctor, no help. After hours, the baby was born. A girl, small and red, with tiny fists. Anna held her close, tears running down her face, but no sound. Tom wrapped the baby in a cloth and placed her in the box. They closed the lid, praying it would work. The baby squirmed but didn't cry yet. They named her Hope, signing the name to each other. It felt like a promise. The first day was hard. Hope was quiet at first, sleeping a lot, but when she woke, she fussed. Her tiny whimpers sounded loud in the silent house. Anna rocked the box gently, her hands trembling. Jack and Lily took turns watching the windows, checking for creatures. The creatures were always out there, waiting for a sound, their long arms dragged through the grass, their ear holes twitching. They could hear a pin drop from miles away, or so it felt. That night, Hope started to cry. It was soft at first, muffled by the box, but it grew louder. Anna's eyes went wide. She opened the box and picked up Hope, pressing her to her chest. The crying stopped, but Anna's heart raced. Tom sighed, put her back. Anna nodded, tears falling, and placed Hope in the box again. They closed the lid, holding their breath. Outside, something moved. A shadow passed the window, quick and low. A creature. Its claws scraped the ground, slow and deliberate. The family froze. Jack grabbed Lily's hand, pulling her to the floor. Tom stood by the box, his hand on the lid, ready to press it down tighter. The creature circled the house, sniffing, listening. Its growls were low, like a hum in the air. Minutes passed, each one endless. Then it moved away, into the dark. The family didn't sleep that night. Anna kept Hope close, feeding her quietly. Every time Hope stirred, they tensed. The box worked, mostly, but it wasn't perfect. A loud cry could still get out. Tom signed to Anna. "We need more foam." Anna nodded, but her eyes were heavy. She hadn't rested in days. The next morning, they checked the box. Tom added more blankets, stuffing them into gaps. Jack brought soft dirt from the garden to pack around the edges. Lily watched Hope, signing to her even though she couldn't understand. "Stay quiet, little sister," her hand said. The baby blinked, calm for now, but the creatures were closer than ever. Tom found fresh claw marks on a tree near the farm. Deep, jagged cuts, like the creature was angry. He didn't tell Anna, but she saw his face and knew. They all knew. One loud sound, One mistake, and it was over. Hope was their joy, but also their danger. Asterisk weeks passed with hope in their lives. The family fell into a new routine, as dull and careful as before. Every day started the same. Wake at dawn, check the box for any gaps, feed Hope quietly. Anna spent most of her time with the baby, rocking her in the box or holding her close when she fussed. The muffled cries were their constant worry. Tom signed to Anna, she's getting stronger. But stronger meant louder, and louder meant danger. The creatures roamed more often now. Tom saw them from the window, gray shapes slinking through the fields. Their ears were always up, turning like radar. They didn't eat much, or if they did, it was quick and brutal. Tom once watched one catch a rabbit that rustled in the bushes. The creature pounced in a flash, claws ripping. It didn't make a sound itself, just the victim's last twitch. Tom wondered if they communicated somehow, maybe with smells or vibrations. But thinking about it didn't help. All that mattered was staying silent. Jack's days were spent foraging. He walked the sand paths to the edge of the woods, picking berries and roots. No baskets to noise eavesdrop. He used a cloth sack, tied soft. One day, he found an old apple tree, fruit still hanging. He plucked them slow, one by one. Lily helped with the garden, pulling weeds by hand. Her small fingers were gentle, but she was tired. At night, she signed to Jack. When will this end? Jack shrugged. No one knew. Food was running low. The farm's crops were thin from the quiet work, no tools, no machines. They ate the same things, soft potatoes, mushy carrots, and whatever Jack brought. Hope needed milk from Anna, but Anna was getting weak. Tom signed, we need more. But going to town again was risky. The creatures seemed to patrol there more. One evening, as the sun set, something changed. Jack was at the window, watching the horizon. Far away, across the fields, he saw a flicker. A light. It was quick, like a match struck and blown out. He rubbed his eyes, but it was gone. Was it another survivor? Someone else alive? Signaling? He signed to Tom, excited hands flying. Tom frowned, siding back. Don't hope too much. Could be a trap. But his eyes showed curiosity. They hadn't seen signs of others in months. That night, the family sat in the basement. Hope slept in her box, peaceful, and a sign. If there are others, maybe they have help. Tom nodded slow, but deep down, he feared it. Other people meant noise, talking, footsteps, mistakes. Still, the light stayed in their minds. Jack lay awake, dreaming of a world with voices again. The next day, the routine continued. Check traps, eat quiet, watch for creatures. But now, there was a tiny spark. Maybe they weren't alone, or maybe it was just the wind playing tricks. Either way, silence ruled. Asterisk, the light Jack saw became their secret hope. Days dragged on, each one like the last. The family watched the horizon at dusk, waiting for another sign. Tom signed, if it's real, we stay careful. They couldn't risk going out there not with Hope so young. Her cries were less now, as if she learned the silence too. But babies don't learn, they just are. Anna kept her in the box most of the time, feeding her in the dim light of the basement. The creatures never left. Tom found more marks around the farm, scratches on the barn door, like they were testing. He reinforced it with more wood, nailing. Slow and soft, the creature's behavior was the same. Listen, hunt, kill. No patterns, no mercy. Once, Lily saw two of them together, moving as one, their heads tilted the same way. Were they a pack? Did they talk without sound? Questions with no answers. Jack wanted to investigate the light. He signed to Tom. Let me go look. Tom shook his head. Too dangerous. But Jack was growing restless. The silence weighed on him, making days feel endless. He dreamed of voices, of running without fear. One night, he snuck out. The moon was low, the path sandy under his feet. He walked toward where the light had been, heart thumping. Halfway there, He saw it again, a faint glow from an old house. His breath caught. People, he crept closer, avoiding leaves. The house was run down, windows broken but covered with cloth. No sound came from it. Jack peeked through a crack. Inside, shadows moved. A man and a woman sighting like them. They had a fire, small and contained the light he'd seen. Hope surged in Jack. But then, a twig snapped under his foot. He froze. The sound was tiny, but in the quiet, it echoed. From the woods, a rustle. A creature emerged, gray and hulking, ears twitching. Jack ran, silent as he could, back to the farm. The creature followed, claws digging dirt. He burst into the house, slamming the door to loud. Tom woke, eyes wide. The family huddled in the basement. Open her box. The creature slammed against the door, growling low. Wood creaked. They held each other, breaths shallow. Minutes passed. The banging stopped. Silence returned. Was it gone or waiting? Morning came. The door was scratched but held. Jack signed, sorry. There are others. Tom nodded, but his face was grim. The light meant hope, but also risk. More people, more chances for noise. They fixed the door, added more sand to the paths. Life went on, dull and dangerous. Silence was their world now, forever. Hope cooed softly in her box, a whisper in the dark, the end.